Folks, Adaire here. Just thought I'd pop in and let you know about a little adventure I had this morning, as well as testing out my new Sony DSLR camera on my laptop here in my home studio on a Dare to Dream. So let's start with this morning. Oh my God. All right. So just go back until probably about a month ago. We had the little car boat motor serviced, which is a little Parsons motor. I think it's a Japanese equivalent of a Mercury or something like that, or a Yamaha. No, hang on. So anyway, so the guy there, Trevor, shout out to you, Trevor, did an amazing job of servicing it and also showing Nigel and I how to start the thing without ripping a tendon or ripping a friggin' whatever you call it, rotator cuff. I have no idea in your arm, because I was getting a really sore arm from starting it. And the other thing that we couldn't do when we had the little motor connected to the internal fuel tank was we couldn't easily pull it up to the beach, because when we flipped the motor up it would flood and we'd have to put the motor down and wait for maybe 5 minutes before the actual before the fuel settled and we could start it, which posed a problem when we're at the beach, because if you're wanting to move in a hurry, or you've got to put the motor down, the leg down in the water to be able to start it, or let the fuel drain so that it's not flooded. And so there was all this stuff happening, and after we had it serviced, we decided that we're going to have put an external fuel tank on, which we had on the one before. So we had an old Mercury motor on the tinny before, and that sort of gave up the ghost a bit, and we ended up refurbishing that and selling it and buying a new Parsons motor. And so we got an external fuel tank, which is like a 5-litre fuel tank, and all the fittings, and that's been sitting here in the boat for like months and months. And over the weekend I said to Nigel, how about we put the external fuel tank on and just see, because then we've got more opportunity, because then we can just go to the beach and put the leg up, because otherwise you're going to kill the prop if you don't put the leg up where you're coming into the beach. You're just going to end up neutral. We've already had to replace the prop once, because it's just was too many times that have been run into the sand. I never did it. I'm just saying, might have been someone else, but it wasn't me. Maybe I've done it once or twice. Okay, so we had to, so I thought, well, if we do decide to, so if we got more options of going to the beach rather than just to the jetty, then we can do that more easily, and it's more convenient to be able to put the motor up, the leg up on the motor. So Nige fitted the tank and all the fuel fittings, and did that over the weekend, got it working. So the external fuel tank, got it working really well, and we're blatting around in it over the weekend, no problem. And I take Nige over the jetty on Tuesday morning. Was today? Well, God, it's yesterday morning. So he could catch the ferry back to Australia. And then I went, okay, well, I had the England versus Australia live cook-off last night, and we were doing chili con carne, and I decided that I'll leave going to get the things for the recipe, the ingredients for the recipe, till something like about 2:00 in the afternoon, and was going live at 6. So and it got really choppy. It got really, really choppy and windy yesterday, and the swell was quite significant. And so I decided, all right, well, let's give it a bell. So I emptied the water bottles and I put them in the car boat, because when you do this, and every time I go to the jetty, I make sure that I got the water bottles in the boat, the car boat, so that I can fill them up. So it's not a sort of a trip wasted. So that's just standard procedure for living on a boat, is getting water almost daily. And so I did that, put them in there. I noticed the water was getting a bit choppy. And I went, all right, well, what I'll do is um, I'll go to the mainland and get the stuff. But I was a bit mindful that the weather, it looked like it was going to continue being choppy. And I thought, well, I better go now, like earlier in the afternoon, rather than wait till later, because there had been a time when a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago, when Nigel was stuck on the jetty. And it's like you can see the jetty from here. It's just there. And maybe 100 meters away. I'm a bit spatially challenged, but it's not far. It's not far at all. And and because of the water being so choppy and the wind being so strong, I couldn't. We decided that it was not safe to take the car boat, over to the jetty to collect him. So, at that particular episode of Australia versus England Amazon Cook-Off, we rescheduled for the following week, and I was just aware that something like that could happen again. But if I went to the jetty and was stranded over there, then I wouldn't be able to get back to Adaire to Dream. So there was all these things going on and around in my head, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go yesterday afternoon. And even though the weather was starting to look a bit choppy, and I was out in the tinny, and I tried to start it, and starting it as you normally do with the internal fuel tank, it's a whole different ball game. So then I thought, okay, well, I need to look at starting it as like differently, like we used to start the Mercury, because the Mercury didn't have an inboard fuel tank. It just had the out, or like an internal one, but had an external one. So I did all the things that I thought were right to start it, and I'm out there. It's like being on the mechanical bull at the woolshed. If you've ever been near the woolshed, or not that I have for a while, but I think it was my daughter's 35th birthday, Amber's 35th birthday, the last time I went to the woolshed. And so we're on this, I'm on this car boat, and it's up and down, and it's getting really choppy. And I am just starting, and it just wouldn't even fire. And I was going, oh my God, this is just, crazy insane. And so I ended up leaving it, and I put the boat around the back because it kept smacking against the side of the houseboat because of the way the water was and the way the wind was. And I was just getting a bit, how's your mother about this? And so I left it. And what I did last night, instead of doing a what do you call it? Chili con carne. I'm just watching these spider webs fly everywhere. We're dressing the houseboat for Halloween, in case you wondered. I do need to do some house cleaning. So what did I do? Okay, so I decided to make kombucha instead of chili con carne, which was fine. And then today I decided I would go out and give it another red hot poke. And so I tried to start it with the external fuel tank, and it wouldn't go. So I switched it over to the internal fuel tank, and there was a tiny little bit of fuel left. And then I went, oh, this isn't going to work either, because I was hurting my arm trying to start it. So I turned it back to the external fuel tank, and then one more pull, and I gave it a yank, and it actually worked. And I went, yay, I've done it. It's working. And so I head off towards the jetty with my water bottles, and I get about 20 meters from the jetty, and it goes, meow, pop, 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 pop. There was nothing. And I'd left my phone and everything on the boat, and I'm just sitting there looking at the jetty sort of, and the boat's being pushed backwards, and I'm going, what do I do? Luckily, we had the oars on the boat, so I grabbed the oars, and I thought, well, I could either row to the jetty and look at getting it started again, or I could row back to the boat, and at least if I can't get it started, at least I'll be home. And if I have to do anything, I can swim to shore or do whatever. I just didn't like the idea of being stranded on land. That's a bit weird, isn't it? But there you go. So I got the oars, and I actually rowed back, which was kind of cool, but a bit frustrating also, because having the time to do that is a bit critical as well. So I rowed back to my boat. I'm getting better at rowing. I know the first time I actually got the oars and I put them in and started rowing, it was like a comedy show, really, just going around and around in circles. I still sort of go around in circles, but I know with jaw now to leave out of the water when I start going around in circles. So I made it back to the boat, and then I switched it back to the internal fuel tank, and I got some more fuel, switched it back to the internal fuel tank, filled that up, because I thought that might have been part of the problem. But I think what happened was, when I switched it to the internal fuel tank, the tank, it got some fuel into the whatever it is, the carby or whatever it is that makes it go, and it ran until that fuel left that bit of the motor, and then it ran out. So I'm doing something wrong with the external fuel tank, clearly, because when I switched it back to the internal, and when I filled it up with fuel, I got over to the jetty and back with no problems, and it started fine. So anyway, I thought I'd just document that, because it is a bit of a challenge. And I tell you, if you don't, like, I have no idea about fuel and motors and stuff like that. And when you drive a car, you just pull up at the service station, you open the cap, and you just go, all right, what am I having today? What's the cheapest? I'm having a unleaded or whatever it is that you have, and you stick the pump in and fill it up, and off you go. So it is really, it really is different in terms of how you live on a boat and what we do. It is a whole different ball game. And it was when it putted and splattered and ran out of fuel, I had some words running through my head that I won't repeat here, but it was like, oh, when is it gonna stop? And but then I thought, well, put your big girl panties on and figure it out, because no one's going to figure it out for you, and you've chosen this lifestyle. And that's exactly what I did. So I thought I'd just pop in and let you know it's a bit of an update that the adventures continue. But I also do want to share with you what we're doing for Halloween, which is really exciting. And I've got a little guest here. As you can see, I've got the dark thing on, the dark filter, and I'm coming to you from Be Live, which is an amazing live streaming software that I just love. I've been working with these guys for over 5 years now. They've had their birthday a couple of weeks ago, their 5th birthday, and I do love being part of the Be Live community. But I do want to share with you this. I got my hand up his backside. That's one of the things that we have. We've got a mummy, and we've got a pumpkin head, and a whole heap of other stuff that we've bought for Halloween, because we want to deck out the boat. And Elsie, I'll see if I can hook this camera up and show you. But Elsie, my granddaughter, was here on Sunday, and she has done a magnificent job with the front part of it. We did put some bats and a mummy and some stuff on the canopy upstairs, but it got too windy, so we had to take it down. So we're just going to see. We need to have, hang on, just doing some on the spot. Let's just see if I can add a camera here and show you. We'll see if we can do some on the spot. Let's see. And that one. Okay. There we are. So what Elsie did on Sunday, she did a fantastic job. She's put up spider webs, and she's got a little, you can see over here, she's got a, I'll put that here, do that. So she's got a little skeleton there, which is really cool. And she's also put the word danger there. I don't know if you can see that. Hang on. Yeah, there, that says danger. And then over here, she's got some hands and some more spider webs. And then we've got that big cauldron over, hang on there. The big cauldron there is something that we're going to, it's got some lollies next to it as well. So we're going to be taking those lollies to the um, beach on Halloween. We're participating. Well, we're trying to participate, but it's not that easy when you're on a boat because we want to be part of the community. Well, I want to be part of the community with a Dare to Dream, and it is a bit interesting. So we'll take the cauldron with the lollies over to the beach, and I think they're doing a parade from the jetty to the barge ramp. And if it's too windy here, which looks like it might be on Sunday, getting a bit gnarly, whatever. That's, you live on a boat. You live on a boat. That's what you just got to put up with. And so if it does get too windy, plan B is to maybe take over the little shelter area where the grog log is. So if anyone from Coochie is listening, I'll contact you. I think it's Jeanette who's organising it. But I think that's plan B for us. And you always need to have a plan B because it can come unstuck very, very fast. And as I showed myself this morning in Tinny when I had to row home. So row your boat gently up the stream. Cut the motor out and listen to Adaire scream. I don't know. Anyway, that just popped into my head. So that's my little story for today, and thanks for joining me. And if you are a Coochie Mudlian, and you want to get involved in Halloween, this is the first year that I've ever in my entire life done any of this stuff, and it is kind of fun. But I'll just see if we can get some of the whatever we call it, the decorations up onto the top deck. Otherwise we'll end up with them on the beach. So there we go. So our little skeleton friend is going to play us out. See you next time.